The Cold War between Ethan Liu and me had dragged on to its 10th day. 10 days. Not a single text message asking how I was, not one comforting call. The air in the vast villa in Schengen capital was as frigid as an ice cellar. And the man who once held me every night now treated himself like a cold, distant guest in his own study. In that suffocating silence, a life-altering event occurred. This morning, when a sudden wave of nausea hit me, suspicion gnawed at me. Then, the pregnancy test, with its 2 dark red lines, appeared like a verdict, both sweet and bitter. I, Jiang Yuaning, was pregnant, carrying the blood of the man who was treating me like I didn't exist. The pressing question now was, how to break the news. Should I knock on his study door, bow my head, and say, "Ethan, I'm pregnant. Let's make up"? No, absolutely not. The pride of a Miss Jiang wouldn't allow me to do that. I needed a unique approach, a grand spectacle that would both announce the good news, preserve my dignity, and punish that heartless man a little. I lay sprawled on my soft Egyptian silk bed, scrolling through my phone, my mind a turbulent mess. I found myself on a popular love and marriage forum where women shared all sorts of stories and advice. I typed a provocative headline, "Cold War with CEO Husband, Unexpectedly Pregnant. How to Announce in Style and Make Him Beg for Forgiveness." The post had barely gone up when comments started pouring in like rain after a drought. "Oh my God, this is like a drama. Just go to his company, hold your belly, and cry your heart out," suggested a user named 100 Diaper Mom. I pouted. Too common. Or "Sis, write a fake suicide note saying you're so heartbroken you're taking the baby far away," another user, Drama Queen, suggested. Too melodramatic, not my style. I scrolled past hundreds of comments until my eyes landed on one pinned to the top, with the most likes. The user, Decades of Romance Novel Expertise, wrote, "Listen to your older sister, girl. I've read over 8,000 romance novels. My experience dealing with all kinds of CEOs is next level. You don't need to cry or threaten. Just follow these steps, and I guarantee your husband, even if he's a mountain lion, will turn into a tail-wagging puppy." I held my breath and read on. Step 1. Initiate the pregnant runaway plan. This is a classic, instantly effective move. Pack your bags, leave the house mysteriously, and leave him with an empty space and utter confusion. Step 2. Deliver an Oscar-worthy performance. If he comes looking for you and you have a chance to eat together, suddenly pretend to be nauseous. You must vomit dramatically until your face turns pale, making anyone who sees you feel pity. This is a crucial psychological setup. Step 3. Deliver the decisive blow. Go to a private hospital owned by his conglomerate and schedule an abortion. Most importantly, for the emergency contact information, enter his phone number. This is the killing stroke, a lightning bolt straight to the stone heart of every CEO. I read these 3 steps over and over, filled with admiration. Absolutely brilliant. This plan wouldn't just solve my problem, it was full of artistry and drama. I had made up my mind. I would follow it. Everything had to be executed perfectly. First, the escape. I opened my massive closet, filled with designer outfits and limited edition handbags that Ethan Liu had bought for me, but I had no intention of taking them. I pulled all his clothes out of the wardrobe. His tailored suits, his perfectly ironed Tom Ford shirts, were tossed into a chaotic pile in the middle of the room. Then, I ceremoniously placed my Chanel bags on top of that pile of clothes, making it look like a queen seated triumphantly on her throne. Next, I went down to the garage. Amidst a fleet of supercars, my gaze locked onto the unique jewel blue Bugatti Chiron. This was Ethan Liu's beloved treasure, something he valued more than his own life. "Hello, darling," I whispered, my hand caressing its gleaming curves. "Today, I'm taking you for a ride." I chose the exact moment he was in his most important quarterly board meeting to speed off. The roar of the engine was like a declaration of war. Driving the supercar on the highway towards the suburbs, I lowered the top and blasted Taylor Swift's "Look What You Made Me Do" at maximum volume. The wind whipped through my hair, bringing with it a thrilling sense of freedom. "Ethan Liu, you can sit there and have your meetings, you can be as cold as you like. I, Jiang Yuaning, can live perfectly well without you, even more spectacularly." My destination was the penthouse of my only best friend, Anya Kong. The moment Anya saw me pull up in the Bugatti, she nearly dropped her wine glass. "Oh my God, Jiang Yuaning, did you just rob a bank?" I tossed her the keys, flopped onto the soft leather sofa, and recounted my entire genius plan. Anya's jaw dropped in astonishment at first, then she clutched her stomach, convulsing with laughter until tears streamed down her face. "I can't believe it," she gasped between laughs. "You truly are the queen of drama, but seriously, what did CEO Lou do this time to make you so angry you cooked up this crazy scheme?" At the mention of the reason, my anger flared up again. I took a deep breath, trying to maintain a calm demeanor. This time, I spoke with a voice full of righteous indignation, a tragic story that would bring listeners to tears and fill them with sorrow. I recounted to Anya that fateful night. The night I simply intended to be a good wife, bringing some snacks into my husband's study. That night, I saw him holding an old photo, his face deep in thought, and when I suddenly appeared, he clumsily hid it away like a caught criminal. "What are you hiding?" I asked, trying to keep my voice normal. "Nothing, just old documents," he replied, but his eyes darted away. He was lying. Every time he lied, his index finger unconsciously tapped the table. His obvious discomfort only fueled my curiosity. I lunged forward, trying to open the drawer. He gripped my hand tightly. The patience on his face vanished, replaced by irritation. Jiang Yuaning stopped making a fuss. And the breaking point was when he lost control and yelled, "How much longer are you going to cause a scene?" That cold voice pierced my heart like a knife. I stared at him, stunned. "Ethan Liu, if you can't stand me anymore, then let's get a divorce." I turned and walked away, a glimmer of hope still flickering in my heart that he would chase after me, hug me, and explain. But no, all that answered me was deadly silence. "And Anya," I lowered my voice, my eyes red-rimmed. "I managed to catch a glimpse of that photo. It was of a woman who looked about 70 to 80% like me." Anya stopped laughing instantly. She sat up straight, her face turning serious. "You mean Ethan Liu has a white moonlight, an unforgettable first love, and you're just a substitute?" Those 4 words, a substitute, pierced straight into my pride like a needle. I remained silent, but that silence was my answer. Anya slammed her hand on the table in anger. "That scoundrel dares to treat my best friend as a replacement? Let's go to his company and get to the bottom of this." I pulled her hand back, shaking my head. "No need, I have my own plan." "What plan?" I looked at her, a mysterious smile playing on my lips. "I've already booked an appointment at the hospital." Anya's eyes widened. You're going to." "Step 3 of the plan," I winked, "the decisive blow." Anya stared at me for a few seconds, then burst into loud laughter. She gave me a thumbs up. "You really are my best friend. I'm with you all the way. Do you need me to play passerby A, nurse B, or doctor C?" "No." Seeing the excitement on my best friend's face, I knew I hadn't chosen the wrong ally. Let this storm come. The next morning, Anya Kong and I sat in a luxurious cafe with a direct view of the main gate of Schengen capital's largest private hospital, owned by the Liu Group. I leisurely stirred my latte, savoring the bittersweet taste on my tongue, a sense of guilty anticipation churning within me. "Are you sure about this?" Anya asked, a hint of worry in her voice. "I mean, CEO Liu can be terrifying when he really loses it." "That's exactly why I'm doing it, because I want him to lose it," I shrugged nonchalantly. "For the past 10 days, he's given me a taste of his Cold War. Now, it's my turn to let him experience what the end of the world feels like." I opened my phone and went back to the hospital's appointment booking interface. My finger glided across the screen, then decisively pressed the confirm appointment button. A message popped up. "Your obstetrical surgery appointment has been successfully confirmed. Detailed message sent to emergency contact number." Done. But that wasn't enough. I opened social media, composed a tear-jerking status update, and set the visibility to only him. "My little darling, it's not that mommy doesn't love you. It's not that mommy doesn't long for you to come into this world. It's just that I can't bear to bring you into a family without love, where your father no longer needs your mother or you. Forgive mommy's cruelty, my love. Let's meet again in another life, where we can have a more complete home." To add authenticity, I even attached a picture of the early ultrasound scan I secretly had yesterday. On it was a tiny speck that the doctor called a gestational sac. "Oh my God, you deserve an Oscar for this," Anya exclaimed after reading it. "Such heartbreaking, poetic words. CEO Liu will surely be shattered after reading this." "Of course," I smirked triumphantly. "Now let's just sit back and enjoy the show." Indeed, the drama didn't keep me waiting long. Less than an hour later, the quiet atmosphere around the hospital suddenly erupted into chaos. Several black luxury cars screeched to a halt in front of the main gate. From them, teams of bodyguards in black suits and earpieces, their faces grim, poured out and quickly sealed off all entrances and exits. Their professional and swift actions startled everyone around, making them think it was an international manhunt. Groups of bodyguards began searching floor by floor, and soon enough, a team of 4 headed straight towards the cafe where we were sitting. They didn't enter but stood in a line at the doorway, their gazes, sharp as knives, sweeping over the room before landing precisely on my table. They stood rigidly, hands behind their backs, not uttering a word, but their mere presence created an invisible pressure that silenced the entire cafe. "Looks like the big fish has taken the bait," Anya whispered, her eyes sparkling. Immediately after, my Bugatti Chiron was driven up by a bodyguard, and from the passenger seat, Ethan Liu burst out like a storm. This was the first time, in all the years I'd known him, that I'd seen him look so disheveled and out of control. His designer shirt was wrinkled, his tie loose and askew, and his usually neatly combed hair was now a messy bird's nest. His face was deathly pale, but his eyes were bloodshot with worry and fury. He charged towards me, practically running, completely abandoning his usual calm and aloof CEO Liu demeanor. He stood towering over me, his breath ragged. He yanked me to my feet, his grip so strong I felt like my wrist bones would snap. "Jiang Yuaning," his voice was hoarse, each word ripped from his throat. "You're pregnant. Why didn't you tell me? Why do you want to abandon our child?" The last question he practically screamed, making everyone around us jump and stare. His eyes were fixed on me, a storm of anger, panic, pain, and disbelief raging within them. Before I could even open my mouth to continue my act, he cut short my thoughts with an unexpected move. He pulled me into his arms, hugging me so tightly I could barely breathe. His embrace trembled, holding me close as if I would vanish into thin air if he let go for even a second. "Don't you dare leave me," he whispered into my ear, his voice a desperate plea and a veiled threat all at once. "I won't let you harm our child. Never." I could feel his heart pounding wildly against my chest, strong and urgent. In that moment, I suddenly froze. Wait a minute, it seemed I might have gone a little too far. The drive home was eerily silent. Ethan Liu didn't say a word, driving at a terrifying speed, his face still taut like a violin string. As soon as we arrived at the villa, he immediately issued orders to all the bodyguards and staff. "From today, without my explicit command, the madam is not permitted to step even half a foot outside this house." He turned to look at me, his earlier rage having subsided, replaced by an unsettling tenderness. He took my hand, his voice softening. "Ninging, are you still angry with me? It's my fault, all of it. You can hit me, scold me however you want, just please don't hurt yourself and our child." The more gentle he became, the more afraid I felt. Why did this remind me of those Yandir CEO characters in novels? I looked closely again, I wasn't mistaken. The corners of his eyes were truly moist. Ethan Liu wasn't, crying was he. Before things spiraled completely out of control, I decided to confess. I recounted my entire brilliant plan, from consulting netizens to booking a fake appointment. Ethan Liu listened, his expressions a fascinating array, from bewilderment to disbelief, then helplessness, and finally he was so angry he burst out laughing. He slumped onto the sofa, rubbing his temples, looking at me as if I were some strange creature. "Jiang Yuaning," he said, his voice heavy with exhaustion. "What exactly goes on in your head? All this whole drama, just because you were afraid of losing face and listened to strangers online? It's not called drama," I corrected him, chin raised. "It's called a strategic pregnant runaway." He stared at me, speechless. After a long silence, he sighed, finally giving in. He pulled out his phone, opened a picture, and showed it to me. "I was wrong," he said, his voice completely softened. "Consider this an apology gift. The princess yacht you liked, I've already ordered it, and the name has been registered just as you wanted, Princess Yuaning." All my anger, all my guilt, evaporated instantly. "Oh my God, the princess yacht, it's real?" I immediately pounced to hug the phone, laughing uncontrollably. "So, what about that photo?" I mumbled, glancing at the yacht picture, just asking for formality's sake. "That girl, Julia Jiang, just came in to interview for an assistant position," he explained. "I noticed she had a few features that resembled you, and I was just curious. I was afraid you'd see it and overthink things, so I instinctively hid it. I swear I had no other intentions." His reason still felt a little forced, but then again, the princess yacht. And after so many years together, I trusted that Ethan Lu wasn't that kind of person. All right, I'd forgive him for now. It seemed the storm had passed, and the sky was blue again. But I was wrong. The real storm was just beginning. A few days later, as Anya Kong and I were happily sweeping through shopping malls, I stumbled upon a sight that made my heart stop. In a classic European-style cafe, Ethan Lu was sitting there, and across from him was the girl named Julia Jiang. She looked so gentle, so innocent in her pristine white dress. She was saying something, her eyes gazing at Ethan Lu with admiration. Anya and I immediately sat at a secluded table right behind them. My heart pounded, and then I heard a sentence from Ethan Lu, a sentence that plunged me into the depths of despair. His voice was deep, warm, and cruelly gentle. For now, don't tell Ninging about your existence. She's pregnant right now, her mood isn't stable, she can't handle any more stress. Every single word was like a poisonous needle stabbing directly into my ears, into my heart. Your existence, so this was a secret that had existed before, an existence he deliberately hid from me. Don't tell for now, so eventually, he would reveal it publicly. Can't handle any more stress in his eyes, I was a weak, troublesome, easily agitated woman. He wasn't protecting me, he was protecting their secret from my nuisance. The feeling of betrayal and deception surged within my chest, but more painful than anything was the realization that I was just a substitute. Similar faces? Could his love for me have just been a mistake? I squeezed Anya Kong's hand tightly, my whole body trembling, all sounds around me fading away. Ninging, are you okay? Anya asked worriedly. I didn't answer. I just quietly stood up, pulling her hand and leading her away from that place. This time it wasn't childish anger anymore, but genuine pain, a deep wound. That evening I spoke to Anya, my voice frighteningly calm. Anya, help me one more time. What are you going to do? I looked out the window, where Schengen capital was still brilliantly lit, but in my eyes there was only gray. Pregnant runaway, I whispered. This time, it's not an act, it's real. The second escape was completely different from the first. There was no defiant fanfare, no roaring supercar, no haughtily discarded clothes. This time, it happened in silence, a heavy and painful silence. That night, with Anya Kong's help, I packed only the most essential items and some cash. I left all the designer handbags, sparkling jewelry boxes, and even the keys to the Princess Yuaning yacht on my dressing table. They were proof of Ethan Lu's love, but now, in my eyes, they were also evidence of his deceit. I didn't want to take anything that belonged to him anymore. Before leaving, I placed a pre-signed divorce paper bearing the name Jiang Yuaning on his desk. My handwriting didn't tremble. When a heart dies, one becomes strangely calm. Anya Kong drove me away from Schengen capital in the dead of night. The glamorous city receded behind us, blurring in the lights, then vanishing. My destination was Qingzhou, an ancient, peaceful city thousands of kilometers away. I needed a place where no one knew me, a place Ethan Lu couldn't find, a place where I could quietly heal my heart and await the birth of my child. Life in Qingzhou passed slowly. I rented a small apartment with a balcony full of bougainvillea, overlooking a picturesque river. Every day, I walked along the riverside, read books, and cooked nutritious meals for myself. I tried to live the life of a normal, strong, single mother. But every night when I was alone, loneliness and self-pity gnawed at my heart. I missed him, I missed his embrace, I even missed his unreasonable nagging. Anya Kong was my only link to my old world. Through video calls, she kept me updated on the situation. Do you know? Anya whispered over the phone. Ethan Lu has practically gone insane. He's mobilized all his forces, turning Schengen capital upside down to find you. The Lu Group's stock has been plummeting these past few days because our ice-faced chairman fires anyone who reports incorrectly. Hearing those words, a small flicker of hesitation stirred within me, but it was quickly extinguished when Anya sent me some photos from tabloid newspapers. In the pictures, Ethan Lu appeared at a charity event, and by his side was none other than Julia Jiang. They looked perfectly matched. One, a charming CEO, the other, an innocent, gentle young lady. The headlines even carried suggestive phrases like Lu Group Chairman's New Rose or A Love Ordained by Fate. It seemed that while searching for me, he wasn't forgetting to gradually reveal his first love's identity. I smiled bitterly, unconsciously rubbing my belly. My darling, it seems your father has made his decision. We'll have to rely on ourselves. Just then, a crazy idea sparked in my mind. My child couldn't be born without a father. If its biological father didn't want it, I would find it another father, one who would truly love it. I opened a high-end matchmaking app and created a profile. In the introduction, I wrote bluntly, "Single mother due soon, attractive appearance, stable finances, seeking a loving, responsible father for my child. If married, my personal assets will be divided." I cherished my money, every penny of it. It was hard-earned through my own business, completely unrelated to Ethan Liu. But for my child, I was willing to sacrifice. After filtering through countless profiles, I decided to meet one person. He was Kevin Chen, an orthopedic surgeon with a good family background, and coincidentally, he was a new neighbor who had just moved in next to my apartment in Kingju. He was very kind, sometimes bringing me breakfast or helping me with my groceries. Sitting in an antique cafe in Kingju, I felt a little awkward looking at Dr. Chen. "Hello, what a coincidence." He smiled gently. "No coincidence, Miss Jiang. I intentionally sought you out. I've been watching you for a while. I don't care about your assets. I just want to give you and the baby a home." His straightforward and sincere confession deeply moved me. Perhaps this was fate. Perhaps I should give myself and my child a chance. But just as I was about to nod, an ice-cold voice, brimming with sky-high fury, rang out from behind me. "No need, she and the baby already have a home." My entire body froze. That familiar voice? Ethan Liu, he had found me. I spun around. Ethan Liu stood there, much thinner than before, his eye sockets sunken with exhaustion, but his gaze blazed like a wounded beast. He wore an expensive suit, but it was wrinkled and disheveled from a long journey. He stared at me, then glared at Kevin Chen, his eyes sharp as daggers. "Jiang Yuaning, you're truly something," he sneered, his voice taut as a violin string. "You get pregnant and run away, and now you're publicly looking for a stepfather for my child." The anger I had suppressed for so long erupted. "Your child? Are you sure that's what you want?" CEO Liu didn't say much. He stepped forward, pulling out a familiar bright red booklet from his vest pocket, our marriage certificate. "As long as I haven't signed, you will forever be Ethan Liu's wife." "Perfect." I sprang to my feet, grabbing Kevin Chen's arm as a reflex. "You've arrived just in time. Let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau and finalize the divorce right now." An outstanding man like you wouldn't hinder me from finding new happiness, would he? Ethan Liu's face darkened. He raised a hand to rub his forehead, a familiar gesture whenever he was furious to the extreme. My intuition told me a volcano was about to erupt. I didn't dare stay another second, quickly pulling Kevin Chen out of the cafe. After politely declining and apologizing to Dr. Chen, I returned to my apartment with a heavy heart. But just as I reached the door, I saw a tall figure leaning against the wall, hidden in the shadows. It was Ethan Liu, waiting for me. "I won't allow you to be with another man." He blocked the door, preventing me from entering my home. "What reason?" I looked up, directly into his eyes, tears beginning to well up. "You only allow yourself to hold your white moonlight while wanting to keep your wife and child by your side." "How, Ethan Liu, what right do you have to say that?" "White moonlight, what are you talking about?" He frowned, his face genuinely bewildered. "You're still pretending." I laughed through my tears. "Do you dare say you haven't cheated? Do you dare say that woman named Julia Jiang isn't the one in your heart? Why did you deceive me? Why did you hide things from me? Was it fun manipulating me?" Tears streamed down my cheeks. All the humiliation, pain, and resentment I had suppressed for so long burst forth. How much of the loving words he once spoke were truly sincere? I pushed him away, opened the door, and stepped into the apartment, wanting only to be alone. But Ethan Liu immediately raised his hand, blocking the door. "Explain it to me clearly. Who is this white moonlight?" he asked in a deep, serious voice. "Do I still need to explain?" I was exhausted, no longer having the strength to argue. Just then, from behind Ethan Liu, a petite figure in a white dress stepped forward. It was her, Julia Jiang. Ethan Liu had even brought her here. My anger flared up again. I pointed at the girl, glaring at Ethan Liu. "CEO Liu, you've brought her here. No need for further pretense, is there?" "She is." My words were abruptly cut short. Because the girl named Julia Jiang, the one I had always considered my rival, my husband's white moonlight, suddenly stepped forward and threw her arms around me. She was trembling, her voice choked with tears. "Sister, I've finally found you." My whole world stopped spinning. "Sister, what? What on earth was happening?" My world seemed to halt, my ears ringing at those choked words, "Sister." The person I considered my rival, my husband's white moonlight. The person who was the reason for my heartbroken escape was now hugging me and calling me sister. What on earth was happening here? I stood motionless like a statue, my mind completely blank. Ethan Lu stepped forward, gently unwrapping Julia Jiang's arms from around me. He looked at me, his eyes complex, a mix of sorrow and relief that he could finally confront this. Ninging, let's go inside and talk, he said, his voice deep and full of patience. I was like a puppet on strings, unconsciously allowing him to lead me into the apartment. Anya Kong, my best friend, had been informed by Ethan Lu beforehand and had just flown in from Schengen capital. She immediately poured me a glass of warm water. The atmosphere in the small living room became tense and stifling. Everyone sat on the sofa except me, who remained standing motionless in the middle of the room. I stared at the girl, who resembled me by 70%. Say that again? I stammered. Julia Jiang looked up, her clear eyes brimming with tears. I am Julia Jiang. Our mother is Lin Peiyun, our father is Jiang Heishan. I am your biological younger sister. Every word she uttered was a truth I already knew, but hearing them from a stranger, a sister whose existence I'd never known, carried a completely different weight. Why? I asked, my voice hoarse. Why did I know nothing about your existence? Julia began to tell her story, a tale like a tragic novel. After cruelly abandoning me in a corner of the market because I was a girl, our parents moved to another city to start anew. Not long after, they gave birth to her. Perhaps out of guilt or for some other reason, they showered all their love and compensation upon this second daughter. Julia grew up in luxury, pampered and cherished, completely unaware she had an older sister with a tragic fate. Until a year ago, Julia's voice choked, father was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Before he passed, he confessed everything. He spoke about you, about how he abandoned you. He said he had lived his entire life tormented by regret. His dying wish was for me to find you and apologize on his behalf. Tears streamed down her face. After father passed, I started searching. I only had an old childhood photo of you and the name Jiang Yuaning. I searched for a long time, finally discovering that you had married CEO Lu. I came to the Lu group to ask to see him, hoping he could help me. I never imagined it would cause such a huge misunderstanding. Sister, I'm so sorry, truly sorry. I listened to the story, my heart a jumble of emotions. I didn't feel happy about finding a relative. I only felt the ridiculous injustice of fate. Both daughters, yet why were our lives as different as heaven and earth? While I struggled with life, at 3, I had to cook. At 4, clean the house, being beaten and starved. My sister was living like a princess. I didn't resent her, she was innocent. I only resented the 2 people who gave birth to us. After a very long silence, I turned to look at Ethan Lu. You've been silent this whole time. And you, why did you hide it from me? This is the most important question for me. Ethan Lu stood up and walked over to me. He looked deep into my eyes, his voice filled with remorse. Ninging, I learned about Julia almost at the same time I found out you were pregnant, right after your first runaway attempt. When Julia came to me and told me everything, I was shocked. But my concern for you is even greater. I know your family past is the biggest scar on your heart. I was truly terrified that suddenly learning this truth would be too great a shock, affecting your mood and the health of you and our baby. That phrase, can't handle any more stress, that you heard, I said that to Julia because I was afraid you'd break down. It was my foolish and clumsy way of protecting you. I should have trusted your strength more. I had planned to wait until you gave birth, and once everything was stable, then gradually tell you. I was wrong, Ninging. I shouldn't have made that decision for you. I apologize. The sincerity in his eyes, the remorse in his voice, made the icy wall around my heart begin to melt. It turned out that everything was just a misunderstanding stemming from his love and excessive worry. It turned out I was never a substitute. I took a deep breath, trying to sort through the overflowing emotions. I turned to look at Julia Jiang, who was gazing at me with eyes full of hope and pleading. I know everything now, I said, my voice calmer. Thank you for going to such lengths to find me, but please give me time. I can't immediately accept you as my sister. That past, I already considered myself to have no parents. Now my family consists only of Ethan Lu and the child in my womb. From now on, let's not meet again. Julia was stunned, her eyes showing clear hurt. But I can't do otherwise. I need time to deal with all of this. Ethan Lu gently patted Julia's shoulder, signaling his assistant to take her back to the hotel to rest. The room was now left with just me, him, and Anya Kong. You too, Anya broke the silence. Truly a match made in heaven, specialists in creating your own storms. But anyway, everything's clear now, so make up, okay? I looked at Ethan Lou. Even though I understood everything, the resentment of being kept in the dark still lingered. You think a simple apology will make everything fine? I crossed my arms and pouted. He stepped forward and pulled me into his embrace. Not fine. For the rest of my life, I'll use my actions to make it up to you. I'll never hide anything from you again. I'll trust you absolutely. Can you forgive me? I remained silent in his arms, inhaling his familiar scent. Finally, I nodded. Several months later, back in Schengen capital, we had returned. My life reverted to luxurious and pampered days of pregnancy. The baby was born smoothly, a little princess. But the moment the nurse handed her to me, I frowned. Why is she so ugly? Wrinkled skin, sparse hair, not a single feature resembling this beautiful Jiang Yuaning. Honey, I called out, she looks too much like you, she's terribly ugly. How about we name her Little Ugly Lou? Ethan Lou, who had been gazing at our daughter with a face full of happiness, instantly darkened when he heard that. Jiang Yuaning, can you please use your genius mind for something more productive? Our daughter is adorable. After some arguing, he decided on the baby's name. Lou Annan, hoping she'd have a lifetime of peace and joy. But for her nickname, he insisted on calling her Squirrel so that when she grew up she would know, he said with a meaningful look, how her crazy mother had famously run away twice while pregnant. Crazy, utterly crazy. I've decided. A new Cold War will officially begin. This time, I'll definitely go online and ask how to stop my husband from giving our child an ugly nickname. This battle is still long. Ethan Lou's perspective asterisk. My wife, Jiang Yuaning, is currently in a Cold War with me. This isn't the first time, and I'm sure it won't be the last. The reason this time? Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. I vaguely recall it starting when I refused to let her eat super spicy Sichuan hot pot during her period. Or perhaps it was because I forgot our 1,000-day dating anniversary. Whatever the case, with my wife, any reason can spark a war. But this time, the war seemed more serious. Not only was she silent, but she had also moved into the guest bedroom. And the climax of it all was when she caught me looking at a photo. A grave injustice, truly. That photo was sent to me by HR. In the application for a new assistant position was a girl named Julia Jiang with a strangely similar face to my wife's. My business intuition told me this wasn't simple. I was planning to discreetly investigate if there was any connection when my wife suddenly appeared. I knew she tended to overthink and imagine dramatic scenarios. Since there was nothing concrete yet, I instinctively hid the photo. Who knew that action would become evidence of a crime? She screamed that I had secrets, that I was deceiving her, and finally flung out the two words divorce before storming off. I didn't chase after her. Not because I didn't care, but because I knew she was just throwing a tantrum. I figured I'd let her cool down for a few days, then buy her a new handbag to appease her, and that would be that. Years of experience told me there was no Cold War that a limited edition Hermes couldn't solve. If there was, then use too. But I was wrong. This time, my wife had upped her game to a whole new level. One morning, I arrived at the office to find my beloved Bugatti Chiron had vanished without a trace. I called home, and the housekeeper tremblingly reported, Madam drove off early, taking a very large suitcase with her. I immediately checked the security cameras in the dressing room. The sight before me nearly sent my blood pressure soaring. All my clothes were pulled out and piled into a chaotic heap, and atop that mountain were her handbags. Well done, Jiang Yuaning. You're truly well done. I knew she was just sulking and had definitely gone to her best friend Anya Kong's place. I wasn't overly worried. I decided to give her a few more days of freedom. And then disaster struck. That day, I was chairing an extremely important board meeting, discussing a multi-billion-dollar M&A plan. In the midst of the most tense atmosphere, my personal phone vibrated. Normally, I would never pay attention, but it was a number from the conglomerate's private hospital. I had a bad feeling. I opened the message, and the words on the screen exploded like a bomb in my head. Dear Miss Jiang, your obstetrical abortion surgery at 2:00 p.m. today has been successfully scheduled. Please confirm. Abortion? Jiang Yuaning? In that instant, my entire world collapsed. All data, all figures, all business plans became meaningless. My wife's recent strange behaviors, her fatigue, the bouts of nausea I dismissed as indigestion from junk food, all flashed through my mind, coalescing into a horrifying truth. She was pregnant. She was carrying my child, and she was going to abandon it. Why? Because of that meaningless argument? Because she no longer loved me, no longer wanted this family. Meeting adjourned, I blurted out a phrase and rushed out of the boardroom, leaving the entire board of directors stunned. I had never lost control like that. I plunged into the elevator, my heart pounding as if it would burst from my chest. On the way to the hospital, I tremblingly opened her social media and saw the status update only I could see. Don't want to bring the child into a family without love. No love? My God, I loved her more than my own life. Fortunately, I arrived in time. Seeing her sitting there, safe and sound, my suspended heart finally dropped. I hugged her, screamed in despair. And then she confessed it was all just a prank, a plan advised by online strategists. I was utterly speechless. I didn't know whether to be angry or to burst out laughing anymore. How could this woman always make me experience every emotion from hell to heaven in just 1 hour? In the end, I had to resort to material means to end this drama. A yacht successfully lured my queen back, but the peace didn't last long. My wife went missing again. This time, it was real. On the table was the divorce paper she had signed. In the room, her closet was empty. She had left without a trace, as if she had evaporated from the face of the earth. The days that followed were the darkest of my life. I mobilized everyone, turned every corner upside down, but found not a single clue. She had blocked all means of contact. Anya Kong kept saying she knew nothing. I knew she was lying, but I had no proof. 3 months, 3 grueling months living in hell. I worried about her, worried about the child in her womb. A pregnant woman, alone in a strange place, how would she live? Even though I knew my wife was strong, I couldn't stop worrying. Finally, heaven didn't disappoint me. My investigation team reported that they had tracked Anya Kong secretly booking flights to Kingju many times over the past 3 months. Kingju, I immediately flew there. I had specifically dressed my best, hoping my handsome appearance might appease her anger a little. But the scene I saw made my blood boil. My wife, carrying my child, was sitting and happily chatting with another man. They were on a blind date. Jealousy and fury erupted within me. I confronted her. But what I received in return was coldness and accusations about a white moonlight and my alleged affair. I truly didn't understand what she was talking about. I had no white moonlight at all. My first love, my last love, my only love was her. Then she ran away with that man, right in front of me. I, Ethan Liu, for the first time in my life, experienced the feeling of being publicly cuckolded by my wife. I had to resort to the drastic measure of bringing Julia Jiang there in person for a confrontation. I knew this was a gamble, potentially hurting Ninging even more, but I had no other choice. I couldn't let this misunderstanding continue to destroy my family. Fortunately, all knots were finally untied, watching my wife cry in my arms, both angry and affectionate. It turned out all these storms stemmed from my silence and clumsy handling of things. It was a costly lesson. Now our little daughter, Squirrel, has been born. She is the crystallization of our love and also a witness to her mother's comically dramatic runaway attempts. My wife just declared a new Cold War because of our daughter's nickname. But I'm no longer afraid. Because I know that no matter where she runs, no matter how many schemes she concocts, the place she ultimately wants to return to is my embrace. And I, for this entire life, will always be here, waiting for her.